In this video, we're going to talk about how to combine functions. So first, they've given us the function f of x and g of x. So first, for letter A, for the first example, it's asking us to find f minus g of x. So that's the same thing as saying it's asking us to find f of x minus g of x. Okay, why didn't they just write it like this? Well, this is a simpler way of writing this. They're the exact same thing though. Okay, so now I can go ahead and plug in f of x, which is 2 minus x over x, and then I plug in g of x. Make sure when you plug in g of x, you have parentheses around it, so we're subtracting off the entire g of x. Okay. Okay, and now let's see. I'm going to combine these to make it into one fraction. So kind of simplify it. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to multiply this term to the right by x over x. Okay, by adding that x over x, I don't change anything because x over x is just x, or it's just 1. So multiplying it by 1 is nothing. Okay, so this is 2 minus x minus 2 over x minus 4x minus 5 times x over x. So now I can bring together the fractions because they have the same denominator. So this will be x minus 2 minus, I'm just going to bring that x out front, in front of those parentheses, okay, divided by x. Okay, so now let me go ahead and distribute the negative x inside the parentheses. So I'll have x minus 2 and then minus 4x squared, and then plus, because the minus x and then negative 5, so that would be plus 5x, all that divided by x. Okay, let's just do a little bit of simplification here. I'm just going to write that over here. So this is going to be, I'll have out front, I'm going to write the one with the highest power first. I'm going to write that here, okay? And then I have 5x and then 1x. So if you add those two together, you get 6x. So plus 6x, and then I have minus 2, and all of this is over x. Okay, so there you go. That is the answer to part A. Now, what's the domain of this? Well, the domain, it would be anything except 0, right? Because the bottom cannot equal 0, so x can't equal 0. So the domain for this one would be negative infinity to 0, and then 0 to infinity, where you're excluding 0 with the soft parentheses. Okay. So let's go ahead and do the second one, part B. In this one, so the same thing, this is the same as f of 1 plus g of 1. So instead of x, now it's saying f plus g of 1. Okay, so that's f of 1 plus g of 1. So I go ahead and I plug in 1 for for x in f. So that would be 1 minus 2 over 1, right? So instead of writing x, I plugged in 1. Plus 4, 1 minus 5. Okay? So 1 minus 2 is negative 1 over 1. And then 4 times 1 is 4, minus 5 is negative 1. So this is negative 1 plus negative 1, which is negative 2. And that's your answer for this one. Okay, moving on to more examples. We still have the same functions f and g, but now it's saying find f divided by g of x. Alright, f divided by g of x. So that would be the same as saying find f of x divided by g of x. Okay, so this is the exact same thing, it's just this is a more simpler way of writing it, so that's why we don't write it like that, but it's the same thing. So now let's plug in f, x minus 2 over x, and then let's plug in g, 4x minus 5. Okay, so now I just need to simplify this a little bit. If I were to take this, and then, this is the same thing as this, and then multiplied by the reciprocal of that. So that would just be, the reciprocal of that would just be 1 over 4x minus 5, like that. So these two are the same thing. Okay, now let's go ahead and multiply this across. So this, and then x times 4x minus 5. Okay, so that's the same thing as, well, actually that's simple enough there. So you could leave that as your answer. Alright, now for the domain of this, there's two things that we can't have x equal, right? If x would equal 0, then the bottom would equal 0, and so you can't have that, right? So x cannot equal 0. But then there's also this 4x minus 5 cannot equal 0 as well. So if I were to add 5 to both sides, that would be the same as 4x cannot equal 5, or x cannot equal 5/4. Okay, so x cannot equal 5/4. Alright, so if you were to write this in interval notation, your domain then would be negative infinity to 0, 0 to 5/4, and then 5/4 to infinity. And that would be your domain. Okay, so now let's do the next example. This one, saying g divided by f of 2. So we would have, let me first write that. So this is the same thing as saying g of 2 divided by f of 2. So go ahead and plug in 2 for g. You'll get 4 times 2 minus 5. And then plug in 2 for x and f. You get 2 minus 2 divided by 2. Okay. And this would then, so 4 times 2 is 8 minus 5 divided by 0 divided by 2. Okay, so that would be 3. 0 divided by 2 is 0. So 3 divided by 0 doesn't exist. Okay, so DNE, you could say DNE or no solution. Okay, and then let's a few more last examples. This one says f is f times g of x, f times g of x. So that's the same thing as saying f of x times g of x. Okay, so let's just plug those in. Okay, so there's f, and then multiply that by g. Alright, so that's the same thing as x minus 2 times 4x minus 5 all over x. Okay, we could, FOIL this out, and what you'll get is, let's see, 4x squared minus 8x minus 5x plus 10 all over x. Okay, all over x. Alright, and then we could, let's see, so we can simplify this one more time. So 4x to the minus 13x plus 10 all over x. So there would be your answer. And then if you were asked to find the domain of this, we would say, oh, okay, so basically x can be everything except 0, because again, the bottom of a fraction can't equal 0. So the domain would be negative infinity to 0, 0 to infinity. Okay, very last one. This last one is asking us to find f minus g of y. So that's the same thing as f of y minus g of y. So I just plug in y for in f, y for x in f. So that'd be, instead of x minus 2, it'd be y minus 2 divided by y. And then minus 4y minus 5. Okay? And I can simplify this exactly the way I did in part A. So this will become, so instead of x now I have y, but it's the same thing. So this becomes 2, so minus 4y squared plus 5y divided by y, divided by y, okay, and then this becomes negative 4y squared plus 6y minus 2 over y, and your domain would be the same as, so just that you can't have equal 0. Okay, 0 to infinity. And that would be your answer.